Hello, cheapskaters. Welcome. I'm Kath Armstrong, creator of the Cheapskates Club, where our goal is to live life debt-free, cashed up and laughing. If this is your first time visiting our channel, welcome. And if it's not, welcome back. I have a question. I think I asked it last week. I'll ask it again. Have you subscribed to our channel? I'm only asking because we are so close, guys. As soon as we hit 5,000 subscribers to our channel, we will be drawing the winner of the Sunbeam Food Lab electronic dehydrator, which I'd really like to be able to show you. But I am in such a muddle and a mess at the moment that it is buried in a corner, and I didn't dare get it out because everything would have to come off the top of it. Now, this is actually the updated version of the one that I use all the time, practically 8 months of the year, the dehydrator grows. And I love it. Dehydrator is one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, and I use it for drying fruit and vegetables, herbs. I've even dried mints, and there is a bit of a video about that. Anything that I can make shelf stable for my pantry. I just love it. So click the subscribe button and then the bell next to it if you haven't already done it. And as soon as we hit 5,000, that thing will be out of my craft room, out of my house, and on its way to the lucky winner. I cannot wait to be sending it off. Now, if you'd like to join the live chat tonight, you'll need to be logged into your YouTube or your Gmail account. That's not a Kath thing, that is a YouTube requirement. Now, if you don't have either of those, don't panic. Just leave your questions or remarks in the comments below me, and I will do my best to answer them either straight after the show if I'm not exhausted or as soon as I can anyway. Now, let's see who's with us tonight, because it's pretty exciting. Today is the first day of our spending freeze, and this is the 21st annual Cheapskates spending freeze. I'm pretty excited about it. 21 years, guys, we have been not spending money in February. So let's see who we got. Lots of people popped up. Michelle, Lydia, Joy. Aren't those iPads amazing? So handy for keeping husbands amused. Amy, Maureen, Gail, Kathleen, Annette. Oh dear, I'll come back to that in a moment. Annette, Veronica, and Sylvia. Don't feel so bad, Kathleen. If you need it, you need it. You know what? I put up with the kitchen from, I don't know, prehistoric times, and a cooktop and an oven that had got to the point where I was told I couldn't even find second-hand parts for them to get them fixed. So, you know, if you need it, you need it. Hopefully you'll have the money put away in your household maintenance account, or you've had a peace of mind account going for it, and it'll be fine. But if you need it, you need it. And think of all the money you will save by having it. So much better. I hope it wasn't too hard to find one that you liked either. I know they've been in a bit of short supply. So no spending month started today. It's the 1st of February. It's a short month, only 28 days of no spending, folks. We can do it. I haven't spent a cent today. I haven't left the house. I wandered out to the mailbox and out to the clothesline and around the garden, but I haven't done anything else. I didn't even tidy up the craft room. There's piles of stuff everywhere. I have been a bit bedraggled, I don't know what it is this last couple of weeks. Just been painful. The humidity really gets me. I would never survive Queensland. So, Annette, it took me 3.5 hours to do the grocery shopping today as I struggled to find everything on my shopping list in one supermarket. Been like that for months here. Months. I'd say 18, 19 months. It has been like that. And the last 9 months, it has been really, really bad. I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting anywhere near back to what it was in January 2020 for 3 years, 4 years. It's going to take a while. There's just so much going on that is disrupting what we can get in our supermarket shelves. And it's not necessarily any one thing. It is just like the perfect storm. All the elements have come together to create this one huge disruption. It's happening. We do what we have to do. And I think, I've been saying for months now, if you need it and you see it and you have the money for it, buy it. Because next week when you go back, it might not be there. Now, I'm sure I told you, I cracked up a couple of weeks ago. I was in Coles, and where they normally have the toilet paper, it's quite a big aisle. It's sort of a double aisle, and there's shelves and things. It's usually full of toilet paper and paper towel, and then tissues on the other side. And it was empty, completely empty, not a thing, not a paper product to be had. And it was full of Coke. I thought, well, someone's got their priorities straight. We've got to have our fizzy drink. Well, when I was there on Sunday, I think it was with Hannah. It can't have been Sunday if it was with Hannah. But anyway, in the last couple of days, and I was wandering through, Coke was gone and there was toilet paper back. Yay! Not a lot, but there was some in the right spot. And there was another truck in the loading bay, which made me really happy too. Then I went next door to Aldi, and it looked like it had been ransacked. It was shocking. There was no butter, there was no cheese, there was very little meat. The meat that was left was the expensive cuts that I don't buy. Some pasta, but not as much as normal. Frozen cabinets were looking a bit depleted. So I think we are all going to have to get used to shopping differently. And if that means we have to go to a couple of different supermarkets like we used to when we were first learning to be cheapskates and trying to save money and live on the $300 a month food challenge, then that's what we have to do. Hannah messaged me today to say that she'd put a grocery order in for pickup and more than half of it was out of stock. And she sent me a big long list of things that if I see them, can I get them for her? So that's West Gippsland, and it's over the Western Australia side. It's everywhere, so not to worry. So I know from comments on Cheapskates Chatter that lots of people are taking part and joining me in No Spending Month. That's really exciting. And I checked the forum this morning, and there's a bit happening in the members forum about No Spending Month, and that's really exciting too. And then I sat down and I thought, oh my goodness, I have been telling you and anyone else that is within hearing distance that if you see it and you need it or you use it, buy it. And now I'm saying, don't buy it, don't buy it. So I might have to revise, and I've been thinking about this all afternoon, revise for this year only our spending freeze rules, because if there's a gap in our pantry and we are able to fill it, then we need to do that. Now, that is not hoarding. I don't care what someone with $1 million and people to do their shopping for them says. That is not hoarding. That is being sensible. That is being a good steward. That is being wise with your money. If you see it and you need it and you have the money to pay for it, then you get it to fill that gap. Because when you go back, it may not be there. Now, that's also not being foolish with your money. The last week, after last week's conversation, I had some really interesting comments and some really interesting contact us forms come through. It's not being silly. Keeping your pantry full is not foolish. What you buy today at today's prices, if you can buy ahead, means that next time you need to stock up will be a while away, and you are saving money because the prices are going up. Inflation is hitting everything. There was a news report, must have been Friday, Saturday, over the weekend, about petrol expected to hit $2, over $2 a litre. So the last time we paid that much, it was actually $2.63 a litre, was when we were in Cape York, and that was back in 2015. I think it was a 2015 trip. It was really, really expensive. But you expect it up there. It's a long way from anywhere. So we expected it. I don't expect it in suburban Melbourne to be that expensive. Now, there's a lot of reasons for it. You can do your research and find out why. It's not, in this instance, it's not oil companies being particularly greedy and taking advantage of a bad situation. It's just the way it is in the world. So prices are going up. So if you fill your pantry with today's prices, you are saving money, because you are not going to pay the inflated prices next week and the week after and the week after, because you've bought ahead. You will eventually have to, but you have wriggle room. You have time to be able to shop around. You know how long that those tins of smoked oysters in tomato sauce will last you. So you know that you have time to start looking and keeping an eye out for when they come back on sale. And when they do, then you can stock up again. So for this spending freeze, normally the rule is buy the food that you need, buy the groceries that you need, not things that you don't need. Well, for this spending freeze, buy what you need. If you need something, there's a gap in your pantry, you need it and you see it, or you don't particularly need it right now and see it, buy it. Because it may not be there. It may not be there when you go back. And that's really disappointing. I'm talking to friends overseas every day. And it is, well, today we couldn't get tin spaghetti. Okay. We don't use a lot of tin spaghetti. It's something that I usually have maybe half a dozen tins in the pantry, because it's something that every now and then we might have in Jaffles for a quick lunch or something like that, but it's not a regular feature in our meal plans, simply because to me tin spaghetti is it's just a waste of calories. There's not a lot of nutrition in it, so I tend to not use it. I would rather have baked beans than tin spaghetti. They couldn't get tin spaghetti. A few days ago, they couldn't get paracetamol. A few days later, they couldn't get cat food. It's odd things. Someone was telling me that she was looking for undies. Couldn't get undies. Yikes. If you don't sew, what do you do? So odd things are disappearing. So if you have a gap in your pantry and you wouldn't normally fill it during no spending month, this year do. I think it's going to be the way it's going to be. But then you can cut back on other things. So walk more, turn lights off, watch the water. Don't let the water run. Keep the buckets in the showers and the basin in the sink for your water. Now, I have buckets in the showers, I have a basin in the sink, and that water either we use it to flush the toilets, pour it in, depends how much it is, or it goes into the washing machine. It's clean water. So we don't waste it. Really important. And you can cut back on other things to balance that out. Does this make sense, or am I just confusing you? Right now. Trish hasn't spent anything either. Hello, Julie. Yes. Maureen, I have plain gluten-free flour that expired the 7th of the 12th, 21. Can I still use it? Yes, you can. It's flour. It's plain flour, so you don't even have to worry about the rising agent getting stale. It's fine. It'll be fine. And it's only 2 months like that. So I wouldn't, only 2 months. I wouldn't worry about it. It's not like it's fresh meat or something. It's fine, Maureen. Kathleen, yes, could only get one to match the current dimensions. We had that issue too with the old cooktop, and we replaced it with the only one that would fit, which actually wasn't very expensive anyway, and I hated it. It was designed by someone with a really warped sense of humor. I hated it, and that was sort of really the thing that pushed me to really push for the new kitchen. So I just hated that cooktop. So went to buy some garden pots, potting mix, and a few other things, and didn't buy them. You can make potting mix. You don't have to buy potting mix. If you've got soil and you've got compost, you can make potting mix, and it will be better than what you can buy. And pots can be anything. They don't necessarily have to be expensive. What have I done? There we go. Baby wipes. Don't flush them though. Even flushable wipes are not really flushable. Do not flush them. Don't believe what you are told. They are not good. Hello. I'm so glad you are here. Oh, thank you, Tam. That's really lovely. I'm a bit frazzled. I was rushing a bit and I thought, if I've got tomato sauce on my face from dinner or whatever. That's the other thing I did today, was put up the meal plan for February's in the Member Centre. So it's all up to date too. Here we go. I'm in Brisbane and today there are a lot of holes. Yeah. Look, empty spots in your supermarket just mean you need to plan ahead and be a bit more proactive in filling your pantry. It doesn't mean you need to panic. It doesn't mean that you need to stress and worry and fret. It doesn't mean that you need to go into debt to get anything. It just means that as you are shopping, be a little more conscious of what's around you, what's available, and of what's in your pantry and what the gaps are so that you can fill them. There's no need to panic. There is no need to give yourself an ulcer worrying about this. It's not a doom and gloom. It's not fear-mongering. I don't want you to be scared. I don't want you to stress about it and not be able to sleep or eat or whatever. Just be aware of what you need in your pantry so that when you're out and about, you can get it. Simple as that. And if worst comes to worst and the shelves, the gaps get worse, you've got what you need. That's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is 6 months, everything's back to normal and you don't have to shop for a year because you shopped ahead. You've stocked your pantry. So there's an upside. Both are ups. There is no downside to this. So don't stress about it. Don't worry about it. I don't want anyone to be worrying about it. Oh my dear, oh my gosh, where are you? So hot today. Oh. Well, I'm glad it's not broken. That's really good. Where are you? If you don't mind, just a rough vicinity. Don't give out any details, but boy, that is hot. It has been, we've had a heat wave here, but it's not been an excessive heat wave. It's just been a consistently mid-30s for 11 days in a row and really high humidity, and I don't do the humidity at all. That's exactly right, Joy. And who doesn't have old sheets that they can use, or old cotton shirts? Old t-shirts would be perfect because they're soft. That seems to be something everyone wants in their TP. They're soft. They don't fray. They wash. They can be bleached if you want to bleach them or soak them. They dry in the sun really quickly. So it's really nothing to be panicked about. Nothing to be panicked about. I used toweling squares. That's how old my baby is. We didn't have the shaped ones or anything when my kids were in nappies. We had toweling squares. So it was, shake and scrub and soak and hang on the line to dry for them. And I actually still have some. Best cleaning cloths ever are those old-fashioned terry toweling nappies. Brilliant things. It is to Hannah. Sorry, Joy. So glad that you do that. Keeping your car full it's security. It's like pantry security. You've got transport security if you keep your car full. We all know how far our vehicles will go on a full tank of petrol or diesel or gas or whatever we're using. So if you keep it full or as close to full as you can, you've got that fuel security too. And it means also that you have the option of waiting to see if the price comes down. As it does, the fuel cycle, we still have the fuel cycle. We might be paying more, but the fuel cycle is still there. So we do keep an eye on that. And yes, that 7-Eleven app is really, really good. Hannah uses that all the time. When she was down at the weekend, petrol where she is was $1.95.3. It was still $1.58 down here at our local service station. So she filled up just before she went home. Yeah. Hello, Glennis. Someone else mentioned the short expiry dates on things. I have to say I haven't really noticed, but I don't buy a lot of things that do actually expire in terms of fresh things like cream or whatever. So I don't really pay much attention to it. And if I do buy a bottle of cream, it's for a purpose, so it's used reasonably quickly. But someone else was mentioning that, and a Canadian friend had also mentioned that she'd noticed that use by dates, as opposed to best befores, but use bys were much shorter than what they normally were. So I will keep an eye out for that, because I'm in the process of doing a grocery comparison. So I asked before Christmas what everyone's basic grocery items were. So I sort of could get an idea of things, because I know what's basic to me, but I only buy ingredients. So I want to know basic grocery items so I could check the prices and compare them. And that's what I've been working on. Yes, and your beans and lentils, pasta, they're forever foods. Rice, forever foods. They will last for years and years and years. So buying them in bulk doesn't really matter. If it's going to save you some money and you are going to use them, then it's a really good way to do it. And if you've got the space to store them. But they are forever foods. Now, we did a forever foods video last year, the year before, a while back. Might be time to do another one. Because there are lots of foods or ingredients that we can utilize that do last on the shelf for years, and we don't need to worry about best befores, use bys, whatever. They're stored properly, they will keep for years. Hello, Leonie. Lydia, I think pet food is one of those things that's now you see it, now you don't. If you have pets and you need to buy pet food for them, that's one of the things that you are going to have to do. And so for spending freeze, no spending month, this might be one of those things that you have to bite the bullet and get when you need to. Hello, Beverly. Gluten flour, Joy, to make gluten flour is the gluten, the wheat protein in flour form. Your plain white flour or plain wholemeal flour, that is the whole grain. To make gluten flour, you can actually do it at home yourself if you want to, but it's really messy. It takes forever, and it doesn't really save you any money. So no, even my mum wouldn't do that. She tried it a couple of times, and I tried once and went, yeah, it's not worth it. Some things we make, some things we moo are worth the effort. Some things we moo are worth the money. If it's not worth either of those, I don't try it. I don't do it. But that's pretty much, the gluten is the protein. It's not a complete protein, but it is a protein part of the wheat. So pretty much what they do is, to make it at home, you get your flour, your wheat flour, you soak it, you drain it, 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 and you are left with this sort of greenish, grayish glob in the bottom of the bowl, and it won't be big. That's the gluten. That's the protein. So then you have to let it dry and grind it to make flour. That's the simplified homemade version. Yeah. I have gluten flour here all the time. I use it all the time. So if you want to see the difference, remind me next time, Joy. I'm so glad. Do you know what? I was watching this morning while I was working on Moos for Moo Month next month, and I had the TV on, and I flicked on Netflix because there's nothing on TV, and I was flicking through Netflix, and I actually found Living on a Dime. Now I don't often watch Living on a Dime for a whole heap of reasons, but she was talking about designing kitchens and her new kitchen on that sort of piqued my interest. So I watched it, and she has a wall oven and she doesn't like the fan noise. Now, I'd say she's come from a conventional oven that didn't have a fan, that wasn't fan forced, because she's not used to the fan noise and she hates the fan noise. Apparently it is very loud, and she was told that it's on its way out. But I didn't think the ovens were working because the fan in the old oven wasn't noisy at all. I didn't think it was, but I had to check that it was actually working in our new ovens, in both of them, because it was so quiet. So I love my new ovens too. They get used all the time. Really, really good. So I'm so pleased for you. I really am pleased for you, Kathleen. I think that's just wonderful. Hello, Catherine. Plum jam off your own plums, off your own plum tree, or given to you or something. Yeah, you add gluten flour to plain flour. When some people add gluten flour to plain flour when they're making bread, it gives more protein, more stretch, more what's it called? It makes the crumb more elastic. Now, I was taught to make bread by family friend, and I think I was about 10 or 11. Mum always made bread, but Mrs. Collister taught me to make a church youth group, so we all made bread, and we did it all different kinds of breads for weeks. Every week we'd make bread, and I still make bread the way she taught me. Now, she would knead the bread, so she would knead it to the count of 50, put it aside and put a tea towel over it. Then she'd do something else and come back in 5 minutes and knead it to the count of 50 and put it aside, put tea towel. She let the bread or the dough rest in between the kneading. So while you do need to knead the bread for 10 minutes or so, it wasn't a constant 10-minute kneading with her. It was, you count to 50, put it aside, let it rest, come back. So it took, and it does, to do it this way, it takes quite a while. But the texture of the bread is so much better. And I was watching Rose Red Homestead, which I think you all know, that's one of my favorite YouTube channels. And she does the same thing. She kneads it for a few minutes. She lets it rest. She comes back, kneads it again, lets it rest. She's not constantly kneading by hand, nor is she constantly using the mixer. If you use a mixer to do the kneading for you. I thought that was really interesting because I have done it Mrs. Collister's way since I was 10. I've still got the recipes in the old typed out pieces of paper. So it helps, it just helps it relax, helps the dough relax more. So it's actually, you get a better crumb and a better texture out of it. But I don't add gluten flour to my bread dough, and I do not use bread improver. Read the ingredients. It is really nasty stuff. Do not use bread improver. Shocking stuff. But if you want to, you can. And I don't use bread flour either. I just use plain old Aldi or home brand, or you'll love Coles or whatever it is, plain label flour for bread. Hello, Liana. Hello, Kerry. Oh dear. Kylie found Costco with no meat. I went, Hannah and I went, must have been November, December, and it was exactly the same. It was terrible. Just went for a look. Could be Joy on fresh food. It could very well be. That the shorter expiry just means it's taking longer to be delivered to the stores. $35 is hot enough. Thank you. I do not like hot. 35 instead. Yeah, no. Someone might be able to help Amy. She's looking at buying bulk molasses. I guess it depends on what you consider bulk. I have no idea. I don't use enough of it to do that. I buy here's 500-gram jar, and I use, the only thing I use molasses for is brown sugar. So it lasts a long time. Catherine, where did you get the boysenberries? Oh, yum. My very first trip to New Zealand, boysenberry ice cream, boysenberry jam, boysenberry syrup on pancakes. I'd never had them before. I went boysenberry crazy. Yum. Smart thinking. Very smart thinking. Yes. You didn't panic. You didn't run out and buy a new fridge. You didn't spend $300 getting someone to come out and tell you that it's just too hot and it's going to fix itself. Well done. Do I have any tips on how many items to purchase when things are half price? Well, obviously, if they're half price, you get 2. Because you would normally pay for your dishwashing liquid, the dishwasher liquid for example, if you were going to buy it anyway, you were going to pay full price. So you might as well get 2. If you have money in your slush fund or there's wriggle room in the budget, then get more. As much as you can without going into debt, without going over budget, without spending money from another category that you will have to make up later on. That's my best tip. If it's half price and it's something that you would normally buy, that you always were going to buy anyway at full price, then you just get 2. That's to me is just common sense. And if you have the wriggle room, the money in the budget to buy more, then do so. So good. Hannah was really excited today. She got some of the original Morning Fresh, still in the 450ml bottle. So how old would that be? For $1 a bottle. So that was pretty good. She was very excited about that. Hello, Barb. We are well, thank you. Catherine's got plums and boysenberries. Yum. Very, very good. I am jealous, although I have raspberry plants coming up in places. I never thought I'd have raspberry plants coming up at the moment, which is really good. Very exciting too. Rosered Homestead, isn't she gorgeous? Pam is just lovely. I haven't seen fresh yeast for years, Joy. Not for years and years and years. It was in the little cakes, wasn't it? I think everyone's moved over to the instant yeast. And Lydia uses Aldi flour. Yep. My tomatoes. I hope you're talking to me. Are you talking to me? My tomatoes. I am picking what are ripe each day, but the plants themselves are just they're just dying. We had a thought. One of the weather warnings that came through, so I went, was for brown rot, which affects fruit trees and things like that, and it can be really devastating. And I don't know if brown rot would affect my tomatoes or not, but if you to look at them, they are just brown. They're just dying. They're brown. There's no green left on them other than the fruit. And so I asked Wayne about it, and he wasn't sure. He was going to do some looking into it and see if brown rot or anything like that did actually affect tomatoes, because it has been so humid, so hot, so humid, and we've had so much rain. Perfect brown rot weather. And if that's the case, I will be really upset, because it means I'm going to have to rest those beds for a couple of years. But anyway, we'll work it out. But this weekend, I was going to do it last weekend and just didn't have the energy. So I'm thinking this weekend they will all come out. We'll dig in some compost and get ready for planting something else in them that won't be tomatoes. I had great plans for tomatoes this year, but yeah. The ones we are picking are not very big. Probably sandwich size maybe. By the time you slice them up, you probably get 2 pieces of bread covered with them. So they're not too bad, and they taste really nice. But they're not as big as they should be. Last year I was picking them and they were 600 grams, 640 grams each. This year they're about the size of a small peach. So, yeah. Yes, wait for cleaning supplies, buy 2. If it's on something is on half price, then it just makes sense to get 2. You're pretty much getting 1 free. If it's something that you would normally buy. So if only they would put blocks of cheese on half price, or bottles of milk, or cartons of eggs, or I'd go crazy. But yeah. I tripled ours, the number we put in, but they were doing just fine until the humid weather hit. Mid-December, it started to get humid and wet and hot, and they've just fallen in a heap. I'm really very disappointed. All right, now. Wow. Trish, if you like your homemade bread and you are able to keep making it, then do it. Homemade bread's really good. You can make it to suit your taste. Now, we know Wendy, she adds all sorts of things to her bread. She puts seeds and all grains, extra grains and things in her bread. As she says, her girls won't eat it, but she loves it. Do what you like with it. My apples are nearly ready too. I'm waiting. As soon as I hear the fruit bats, I'll know the apples are ready. The bats come at night into the apple tree, so we will be out there fighting the bats for the apples, and I will be peeling and stewing. Yeah, so it's really nice to have fruit in winter. Yeah, brown rot's really nasty, and especially around Shepparton, the stone fruits can do a lot of damage to stone fruits. But it was just something I pulled out of thin air when I was listening to it, and I asked Wayne about it, and he wasn't absolutely sure. Then of course we've got busy with other things, but I will have to ask him again. Oh, cool changes at Maureen's. Be here soon. Yes. Everyone's having a bad tomato year. It's a bit sad. Although I have to say the capsicums and the eggplant aren't doing much better, but they all sort of like each other. So, yeah. Perfect. It's nice to be prepared, though. It is a nice feeling to know that you are prepared as best you can be. So we're having pretty much a no-spend year. It's going to be really hard, I'm sure. But every time I think, oh, well, I'll just go and get this. Nope, not in the budget. Not in the budget. We're not doing it. We just won't have it. So, yeah. Okay, with the recipe 1981 went to Aberdeen to visit. I also got a morning roll recipe, soft and floury. Scotch rolls. There's nothing quite like Scotch rolls, Joy. We love Scotch rolls. That sounds really nice, Kerry. Cinnamon apples with the syrup. So they weren't too runny for the pie. Wouldn't matter. We'd eat it anyway, or Wayne would eat it anyway. Or it could just be, if they were runny, I'd just turn it into a sponge and make an apple sponge. Julie, I looked for blight, but it doesn't have. It's not quite the right characteristics for blight, and I was really hoping it wasn't blight. I'm hoping it's not blight too, because that means I can't plant in the bed for at least 2 years, because it stays in the soil. But I don't know. I have never had. If it was one bed, that would be fine. But these tomatoes are in 5 separate beds. They're not connected in any way. They are 5 separate beds, and they are all the same, and they're different varieties too. So we've got Amish paste, we've got throwing tomatoes, I've got the little ones, the pale orange ones. They're all the same. All the plants are the same. When it first happened, I thought because we have reserve behind us, and they spray. They just come along on their mower thing and spray, and they don't care whether the wind is blowing or not. They just spray. And I've had trouble with that before, with wind drift and the spray taking out my garden before. And I wondered if it could have been that, mainly because it was all of them, all separate beds. But then nothing else in the beds was affected. So one bed's got tomatoes, and in front of the tomatoes has capsicums. The next one's got eggplant in front of it. Someone's got zucchini. So I don't know. But I'm hoping it's not either of those things, because that's just going to make gardening really, really hard. Oh, Trina, don't say that, because we love eggplant. It has been a really funny, Kathleen's having trouble with her tomato seeds. It's been a really weird year. It's not a typical Australian summer, is it? So, it's certainly not a typical Victorian summer where moderately hot, really, really humid. That's not us at all, and lots of rain. So January, we had more than double our average for January. So goodness only knows. Oh, Gail's pulled the capsicum and eggplant too. Oh dear. Yes, please, Joy, if you've got time, that would be great. Jalapenos. Do you know what? My brother grows the best jalapenos, and he does nothing to those plants. Has them in pots. If he thinks to water them, he waters them. That's about all he does to them. And they are always magnificent. He has never had a failure. Spring onions, that's nice. Kerry, cornflower. Thank you, Kerry. Cucumbers. Red Rose Homestead. Pam Cantrell. She's a lovely older lady. Says me, because I'm such a spring chicken. I just like the way she does things. I like the way she cans things. I like the way she dehydrates things. I like the way she explains the science behind what she is doing. That's really interesting too, because you could just say, now look, just brown the meat, but don't cook it all the way through. Put it in your jars, put the lids on, whatever. But she explains why you brown the meat, but don't cook it all the way through, and so on and so on in the process. It's really good. And some of her recipes are to die for. They are so good. Another canning channel, preserving channel I like is Sutton's Days, and Linda's Pantry is another really good one that I've started really enjoying. So makes me sound like I spend all day watching YouTube, but I don't. But if I'm sitting down to do bookwork or desk work or something, I usually flick it on. So I've got the noise in the background. It seems to help. Otherwise I get we are import dependent on them. Even our Australian owned companies get them made overseas and import. So ball jars, Weck jars, La Familia jars. If you can find jars, grab them. If you can find lids, you've struck gold. It's still really, really hard to get. It is a little better than it was this time last year. This time last year, you didn't have a hope of getting new jars or lids, and I was down to, I think I had half a box of lids left, and it was getting a bit scary. And then I found some. We have Fowler's Vacola here, which is for water bathing, preserving, but even that's made overseas now. There's nothing made in Australia anymore. Very little. It's terrifying when I think of the industry that we used to have, the manufacturing industry that we used to have, and in 50 years it's gone. We've gone from a country that made just about everything we needed, was self-sufficient in just about everything we needed, to a country that is almost totally reliant on imports. Self-sufficient me, yes, Mark is wonderful and full of really good advice. Being in the tropics, his garden is sort of reverse to mine. So you just have to be aware that he is in the tropics, and plan accordingly. Oh, that would be so good. You might, I remember one year I was still picking tomatoes in July, and I actually just about cried because I pulled the plants out, but I had to actually pull them out to make room to put the winter and spring veggies in. But they were still producing tomatoes. And it was really nice to be able to zip out the back in the middle of July and get a fresh tomato off the bush. It's really, really good. I don't know. I'll ask Wayne. He knows more about dealing with them than I do. And I guess he would, I don't know what he'd do. But yeah, that is something to think about. It's too late for me now, where we are, to start from seed. And of course, now we're in February and it's no spending month, so I'm not going to buy seedlings, am I? So I might just give up on the tomatoes this year. But you never know. Hello, Yvonne. Dry them, Kathleen. Dehydrate them. Grate some for freezing for use in zucchini bread and stuff. But last year I must have dried 25 kilos of zucchini last year. And then just, I did it in shreds, squeezed out as much moisture as I could, spread it on the trays, let them dry. Some of it I left in shreds, some of it I powdered. And when I was doing a soup or a casserole, I just added powder. It used it up. We used it up. It was really good. But that was one way to preserve it without, having to worry about it. Canuary was great this year, wasn't it? It was really good. Oh, Joy, I have to tell you, we love rhubarb. Now, Joy gave me some rhubarb a few weeks ago, and it was delicious. But I have one pot of rhubarb. It's a fairly big pot of rhubarb, and I cut it off and whatever. Well, I took a crown off it a couple of months ago and put it in another pot, and it was doing really, really well. So proud of this. It was, I was so proud of split, because I'd never actually split the rhubarb before and taken a crown of it. Put it in the pot, and it was growing, and it had new shoots coming off. It was looking really good. Hannah brought the dog down. She brought Lacey down 2 weeks ago. And of course, she's just in the backyard. And she's a beautiful dog, and she's no trouble. She's no trouble. Or so we thought. And we went out on the Sunday morning, and I went, "Oh, Lacey, don't dig in my pots." And I turned around, the rhubarb was gone. The rhubarb pot had a big hole in it where the rhubarb was. Well, we searched high and low for that rhubarb, because then I couldn't remember whether the dog could eat the rhubarb. Mad panic. Anyway, dog is fine. Dog comes back last weekend, goes out the back, and straight away went to the pot where the rhubarb was, because it was still empty, and dug in it. She'd buried the rhubarb. It was like it was a bone, but she'd buried the rhubarb. Oh no, so I've rescued it. It seems to be it's not dead yet, so fingers crossed we'll get rhubarb. Veronica, if you like pickles, pickled rhubarb is divine. Oh my goodness, it is so good. So good. Carol, she's not on, but Carol gave me her recipe a couple of years ago. Oh my gosh, pickled rhubarb. It is just amazing. Amazing. Yeah, if you're buying your canning lids off Amazon or eBay or anywhere like that, really check where they're coming from, where the seller is. Even if it looks like they're in a ball box, enlarge it and have a really good look at it, because there's a lot of imitations out there, and they are fine for vacuum sealing, they are fine for water bathing, but they do not hold up under pressure canning because they simply don't have enough of the rubber compound to form a good vacuum pressure seal. So be careful. But lids are getting easier to find. All right. Yes, there's a really nice rhubarb champagne. Oh, it's so good. That's really nice too. That's a really old recipe. I think that came out of one of Mum's old, those old little sort of 4x6 size paper, old flour company or something like that type recipe books that were around in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s. I think it came out of one of those, but rhubarb champagne, just delicious. Really, really nice. What do you use zucchini flour for, Karen? That would be interesting. Ooh, that would be nice in fritters. Now I'm thinking about it. I was down your way a couple of weeks ago. Welcome. We'd like to see new faces. Guys, just remember, I'll say it again, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do, because as soon as we hit 5,000 subscribers, I'm drawing the winner of that food saver that's down there on the floor in the corner, because I've got such a clutter over here because I'm cutting out templates at the moment. And I need it out. I need it out of my room. I need it gone. I can't wait to get rid of it. So subscribe and click the bell, and you'll be notified when we go live or upload a video. It's all right for you to laugh. I was crying. But I did. But she went straight through the front door, straight through the house, out the back, down the steps, straight to the pot, and started digging. I thought, get out of that pot. Come on, Lacey, out of that pot. And she just kept digging and dug up the rhubarb. Well, at least I know what happened to it. And I checked it this morning. It's still looking fine. So maybe that's the secret to growing rhubarb, is bury it. Certainly was buried treasure to me, Joy. We keep those dogs out of the garden, because they create havoc, don't they? I see mason jars, but don't find their lids to be as good as ball. I had, when I did my potatoes a couple of weeks ago, I had 2 jars that I thought were fine, but I kept an eye on them. They passed the lift test once they cooled, but I waited an extra day and they both failed. So we used those potatoes straight away. And we survived, so they were all right. But I think that's the first, and they were actually genuine ball jar lids, and that's the first in ever that I've had proper ball lids fail, which was really disappointing. But 2 out of how many thousands have I used? Okay. Catherine, which rhubarb recipe? We need a bit more information. Oh, rhubarb. Trina's never had rhubarb. It's you don't eat the leaves. The leaves are poisonous. You just eat the stalks and you just chop them up with a little bit of squeeze of lemon juice, tablespoon or so of water, and you do need to use sugar in rhubarb to give it a bit of sweetness. Otherwise, it's a bit tart. But just stew it up until it's soft. And depending on the variety of rhubarb, it will be red, or it will be green, or it could be yellow, or it could be a combination of all 3. And it depends on the variety of rhubarb you're growing. When it grows, the stalks all look red as they're growing, but as it cooks up, that's when you'll see it might not all be red. It might turn into that greeny yellow color, and that just means it's the variety. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the variety of rhubarb. It's delicious. You do rhubarb and apple, and you can have it in pies. Put rhubarb on your yogurt, on your muesli. You can put rhubarb in your muffins and cakes. Instead of doing, an apple cake, we put the apples on the bottom and put the batter on top. Lightly stew some rhubarb so it's not quite mush. Put that in the bottom, put your cake batter on top and make a rhubarb cake, and it's really nice. It's just delicious. Gail, I don't know. I'll have to have a look and see. Gail wants to know, is asking if the rhubarb pickle recipe is in the recipe file. I can't remember whether I put it there or not. I might have decided to keep it as a hidden gem. It's delicious. If it's not there, I'll have a look when I've finished. If it's not there, I'll pop it in for you. It's really, really delicious. I have a jar in the fridge at the moment. Kilner are good, yes. And Kilner's the UK version of Ball. Ball's the American version of, Kilner is the UK version. Weck jars are great. What's the other ones? I've got all different kinds of jars from all over the place. And they all work really good. No, the rhubarb champagne isn't alcoholic. It's just like ginger beer. Maureen made zucchini slice. Glad I could make you laugh, Trina. Oh, you wouldn't have been laughing. You'd seen my face when I saw the empty pot. So Karen is saying that she dehydrates the zucchini and grinds them into powder to flour, and she uses it for thickening. I was thinking when as soon as you said zucchini flour, I asked what you were using it for, and then I thought that would be really good in fritters, with some onions, some herbs, some corn, carrots, some bacon, whatever you've got, chopped tomato, chopped sweet potato, whatever you're doing for veggie fritters. That would be really good too. Rhubarb's a hungry plant. You have to feed it. You need to feed rhubarb. It is a really, a good handful of dynamic lifter, or a couple of shovelfuls of cow poo, does it really, really good. Rhubarb is a really hungry plant. Trina uses Aussie Mason lids for dehydrating. If you're not confident of them, don't use them for the canning, because it's a lot of work, and if they fail, it's a big disappointment, but it's a lot of money invested too. Whereas, keeping things for dehydrating isn't so bad. Yeah, you only use ball jars in the water bath. Yep. Okay, this is what I do. I don't reuse the ball lids for pressure canning. That is not an approved thing to do. So I figure that pressure canning is usually meat or chicken or something that is rather expensive. And so I don't want to take the risk of not only wasting my time, but losing the money that's invested in that. So I will use ball lids for pressure canning. New ball lids for pressure canning, but I do reuse them for vacuum sealing. I do reuse them for the water bath. They seem to be fine in the water bath. I had thought that next time I do beans, and it'll be coming up soon because we're nearly out, I might mark some as used lids and see how they go in the pressure canner, because beans as opposed to meat's not such a great loss. If I have to use them all in a hurry or something, I can do it and see how they go. But I don't use them. I don't reuse them for pressure canning, but I am happy to reuse them for jam. I'm happy to reuse them for pickles, for water bathing, and for dehydrating. So they don't get wasted. They do get reused. Sorry, I'm not sure. I clicked the wrong button here, guys. Congratulations, Maureen's got chives and she'll dry them in the weekend. Really good. Kathleen picked 5 kilos of zucchinis today. Yeah. Welcome to Australia. So glad you could join us. I wonder what time it is in New Hampshire. What time is it here? It's 8:45. Oh gosh, I've gone over time. You guys, you have to tell me to be quiet, because I made a clock. Did everyone? No, you won't have seen my clock yet. I needed a clock for this room. I don't have a clock for this room. So one of my projects this week, I'm going to lean over here. I'm really proud of this. Sorry, guys. Really, really proud of this. I wanted a clock, and I wanted a particular type of clock because I'm fussy, according to my children. So, but the type of clock I wanted was really expensive. So I had a good look at it and decided that I could make my own, and I did. Whoops, can't hold it straight. So I made my own clock over the weekend. I made it pretty to suit me and my room, cut out the numbers, painted it all up. I was very proud of that. And that needs to go up on the wall so that I can actually see the time, because we've gone over again. Alrighty. Rhubarb in porridge would be really nice. Joy, Maureen, that would be good. No watermelons. I had some watermelons and I had some cantaloupe in, but I did put them in different spots, and I'm wondering if that wasn't the problem, where usually I have them along sort of a west fence, and they get sun, but they also get shade, so they don't burn up. So I didn't, and I was really looking forward to them too. Vacuum bags kept in tins. I found this the best way to keep dehydrated stuff, save your jars for wet stuff. Yes. Zucchinis. That's all that's grown this year. Everyone seems to have zucchini, so that might be it too. Maybe that's part of the grand scheme of things. The grand plan is to deprive us of tomatoes, force us to eat zucchini. It's because you're in Queensland, Karen. Krista. Wow, that's interesting. Wonder why the ball jars were breaking. Huh. I had one break, but it was a jar that had been dropped. And so I shouldn't actually have used it, but without thinking, picked it up. And it just actually came away, the bottom came away from the top. It didn't shatter or anything. Huh. Okay. 4:45 a.m. You should be in bed asleep, Admiral. Although, I'm usually up about that time. Okay. Thank you, there. Thank you, everyone. I was very proud of myself to be able to do that. You've got no idea. No, I haven't fixed the sewing machine. Sewing machine got pushed aside for other things. We'll get to the sewing machine. There's a lot going on. There's so much happening. It's just crazy here at the moment. And the stupid humidity and the weather with not sleeping. So then I'm grumpy when I wake up, or grumpier when I wake up. And I just seem to be really slow moving. The last couple of weeks, it's just been an effort to move and do things. So I've been getting up in the morning and making sure I do everything that has to be done, so that the other stuff, if it doesn't get done, it's no great drama. Yeah. Okay. Zoodles of zucchini noodles, yeah. Alrighty, guys. So, no spending month. We're not going to spend any money, but we are going to concentrate on filling the gaps in our pantry if we possibly can. My beans are full though. Snap peas are not doing so good, but the beans are going okay. The green beans, bush beans, are doing okay. So I will have beans to freeze and bottle, which will be nice. Thank goodness, because we like beans. So remember, we're going to not spend money unless we absolutely have to. Simply because, why waste it? Put it aside and let it build up so that you can then do something fun with it. Often the things we're not spending money on are really not important anyway. It might be, the new t-shirt. Well, do you really need a new t-shirt? Or it's a meal out. It was our wedding anniversary over the weekend, and we sort of went, what will we do? So we stayed home, which worked just fine. We watched a Netflix thing and had homemade dinner, and it was really nice. was really good. Usually we go away for the weekend, we go camping, but of course we couldn't, so we were stuck at home, and it was like, wow, what do the poor people do? Because so I made fish and wedges and coleslaw for our dinner, and we had apple and apricot, because I had some apples and some apricots left, apple and apricot crumble for dessert. Hannah had made little cheesecakes, so we had a little cheesecake, little Rocky Road cheesecakes. They were delicious, and just picked a movie and watched a movie. That was really nice. Didn't cost us anything. We didn't have to get dressed up and leave the house. It was really nice. So save your money. That's what the aim is. And while you're not spending and the money is sitting there, think about, have a plan for how you're going to use it in March. So are you going to pay down a debt? Are you going to put it into your emergency fund? Are you going to put it into your holiday fund? Are you going to buy new tires for the car, or use it for building your pantry? Have a plan for it. Think about how you want to use it and have a plan for it. And that will also help motivate you to save more, so that you can actually do that in March when no spending month is over. Alrighty, I have to go. It is nearly 10 to 9. Sorry, guys, we do talk a lot. All right, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to give us a thumbs up. That really helps. I don't know what it helps. It helps something, YouTube do something for us. Something makes us easier to find. I know that. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Really important that we get that 5,000 so I can clean a corner out of this room. And I shall see you all next week. Have a great week, everyone. Remember, no spending, absolutely necessary. Just, and happy cheapskating. Bye.